Greetings, I'm Herbert Erpaderp. Do you ever stop and think to yourself, gee, I wonder what's inside the AFV Club 35th Scale US Marine LVTP5 A1 box? Yes, every single day. I know, we all do. Today the time has come, and we're going to find out what exactly is in this box. Surprisingly, it's bits of plastic. This first bit is the lower hull. It's molded in a sort of olive drab color, similar to what the real LVTP5A1 would have been painted in. This kit is apparently a 1999 tooling, so it's not. Wait, that's 25 years ago. I'm so old! Anyway, it's not the most recent tooling, but it's certainly not the oldest kit I've ever seen. It's still fairly modern. I would say it's pretty good, considering its age. The parts, like the hull sides here, are pretty neat and well moulded. There are a couple of very minor bits of flash on a couple of parts. You can see a little bit on the rounded douvers on the bottom of the hull sides here. Nothing too serious though. I wouldn't expect cleanup to be too difficult, especially if you clip the parts off the sprues neatly, but that's on you, not the model. Here's the whole top. I wish I had something interesting and or insightful to say about this, but I don't. I do, however, appreciate that it's a large single piece. I can see this entire hull being pretty easy to put together, and that is, of course, a good thing. Here's some of the smaller details. I think they're pretty good. Everything is neat and fairly crisp here, and I can't see any defects or major flash or anything like that on anything. In particular, the thin, small parts. That is where you'll often see flash and excessive mold lines, so it's a good thing that I can't really see any of that sort of thing on the various little detaily parts. Speaking of detail, I am obviously not an LVTP5 expert, so you probably shouldn't be surprised to hear that I couldn't tell you how historically accurate anything on this model is. For all I know, one of the very important bolts could be a millimeter or two out of position, and clearly, I've not yet built the kit either, but it does look like it's going to build up to be a fairly decent representation of this vehicle. It does also look like it's going to be quite big. It makes sense, it's a big thing. Here's another sprue with more small details, and again, they look nicely moulded and I can't see any defects. Though, to be sure, that doesn't mean there are none there. Sometimes you can't see a defect until it's time to glue the parts together, and then you just gotta figure it out. Sometimes it involves swearing. I suppose that's all part of building models, and in fairness, I'm not expecting that. I guess we'll find out when I do the build stream, which I'm sure all of you will certainly come and watch. Here's the wheels and suspension doodadery. A lot of the suspension will be hidden, or at least partially obscured, but it's here, and I'm sure it's going to look good. There's some really nice looking detail. You just have to do that, don't you? What? Make great original jokes? To go with those wheels, here's some tracks. These are interesting looking. I would assume the long flat bits in the center of the links are paddles, for lack of better word, this being an amphibious vehicle. These are, as you can probably tell, link and length, so they should be a little bit less tedious than individual links, but significantly better than rubber band tracks. I really don't like rubber band tracks, you may have noticed. They don't look as though they will link together, though that would be nice. However, I haven't built the model yet, so I can't really say what they are like yet. Well, I could, but I would just be making it up. I do it the old fashioned honest way round here. Anyway, here's the decals. The picture isn't very good, but you can mostly see the markings. The backing sheet is fairly light in colour, so it is kind of hard to see the white markings against that. Perhaps by the time this is edited, I'll have done some color grading tricks or something. And last, but certainly not least, the instructions. These are kind of important if you want to put the model together without guessing where all the parts go. You're making that joke again, are you? Hmm. They seem pretty well laid out and easy to understand. Yet again, I've not started on this kit, so I can't tell you if there's any problems with the instructions, and it is probably more likely that any mistakes will be caused by myself and not the instructions. That is usually the case. You get a couple of painting and marking guides, though you can always paint the vehicle any way you like. Even a glittery purple, that'd be cool. Anyway, that's what's in this box. As some of you may have suspected, it's the AFV Club 35th Scale US Marine LVTP5 A1. I plan to build this fairly soon, and as usual, I will be building it live on stream. So keep an eye out on my Twitch channel or Discord for notifications. Because this is an amphibious vehicle, I will also perform the all-important will it float test in the build video, which I know you are all very excited about. It will be a while before the build video is ready, or, alternately, if you are watching this in the future, you can find it linked in the description. I'm expecting this to be a fun and, well, maybe not super simple, but not overly complicated build. It looks like it won't need too much extra work to prepare the parts for assembly. A little bit of flash cleanup, and certainly some nubbin removal. Probably nothing too severe. If I'm wrong in that assessment, or there's anything you think I might need to know or look out for before I start building, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have any general questions or comments, they can go below too. Subscribe here if you want to see more of this kind of thing. Share the video with anybody you think might find it helpful, and if you really like what I do, consider supporting on Patreon or Ko-fi. Take care of yourselves, be excellent to each other, and thanks for watching. Farewell.